In May 2011, two high school friends and self-identifying film buffs saw the movie Thor together in theaters. These men promptly went their separate ways and mysteriously didn't communicate for a decade. Today, still obsessed with movies, they reunite as podcasters of fortune with the mission to tackle the movies and debates they missed out on for 10 years. On this podcast, they are always catching up. Alright, so we are back in good old, well, I don't know about good old, very brand new 2022. It's we're recording this on Tuesday, January 4th.
I said, can we go back to 2021? That's how new 2022 is.
Yeah,
I'm not used to saying it.
I thought you said 2021, but no, it's 2022. We got some stuff to talk about. Since our last recording, Hawkeye ended, and Star Wars: The Book of Boba Fett began. So first off,
a lot of Disney Plus. So.
Yeah. So for starting off, Aaron, how did you feel about how Hawkeye wrapped up?
I enjoyed Hawkeye a lot. It wasn't my favorite of the shows that we got last year. I think that would probably either go to Loki or WandaVision.
Yeah.
But I thought, and I also think that has something to do with the fact that it's got wider ramifications for things that are going to be going. Mm-hmm. But seeing the Kingpin back made me very happy. I am genuinely interested in seeing a Echo television show. I don't know. I thought it was a lot of fun. I'm curious to see what spins off of this, what the next thing is for Kate Bishop. And I cannot ever remember her name, but Black Widow 2.
Yelena?
Yes. Fantastic.
Like they had together. Their stuff was the best part of the episode.
No, that is not true. The best part of that episode was the owl. Like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, what's the payoff gonna be for this? Like, there has to be some kind of payoff. And I'm not gonna spoil it for you in case you haven't seen this yet, but there's a great payoff. But the fight scene that they have in the building where it's just like, it seems like one long track.
Yeah. I
loved that.
I just loved where Kate's like, stop making me like you. Like, they genuinely like each other. Like, they don't want to be fighting. We're just this is a thing we have to do. I'm sorry. So I loved them together. Absolutely loved them.
The casting, I remember we discussed this with Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst and how I didn't necessarily like the chemistry that those two actors had together. There is something with Marvel casting where just I can't think of people that didn't, just flow really well together, and that it just didn't seem like they were having a really good time. So
yeah, I can't think of the last time there was just straight up miss by Marvel. Maybe the guy who played Quicksilver in Age of Ultron, maybe him. Maybe he wasn't exactly on point, but it wasn't to the detriment of the movie, really. So,
and that was what, 8 years ago?
2015. So
7.
Yep.
So that's pretty crazy as well. It still continues to blow my mind that we are living in a world where a movie that started in 2008 has spawned off this crazy universe that's all connected, that was all movies, and now it's led to like 4 original series that are on a streaming service. I'm sorry, 5 original series on a streaming service that have to deal with, the canon of this universe.
Yeah,
they built. And I'm curious what's going to happen if, many years from now, kids that, were born after 2008.
Yeah.
Or, hell, after Avengers Endgame, and they're going back and watching this, what their reaction is going to be for it, like not growing up with it, not being in it. If they're going to have that same, reverence for it that we do. But I don't know. Did you like how it ended?
I've watched it 2 times. The second time I liked it more than the first. I don't think they stuck the landing on certain parts.
Okay.
Like the whole dynamic between Clint and Elena kind of gets. It just didn't feel very believable. Oh, this is how this conflict's gonna come to an end.
Christmas, man, it's the happiest time of the year. Everything gets tidied up with a bow real quick. So
I think the worst.
If you had a secret whistle with, your sister and somebody blew it, I mean, everything would be fine there too. So
Little known fact, he was whistling Martha.
Why'd you say that name? Oh, God.
But I just that didn't. It just it didn't stick well. I think the worst thing about the finale was how Kate's mom's storyline got wrapped up in
Madam
relation.
Mask?
Huh?
Madam Mask?
I guess that's supposed
She's
to be
a
her name.
villain. She's a villain in the comics.
Okay.
So,
But I did think that wrapped itself up very well because they didn't give the mom really time to really explain to Kate everything. It was like, oh, your dad was in debt. Yeah. And
why does she need to? There's gonna be other stuff going on.
But I don't know.
This isn't just like a one and done thing. Here you go. She's a villain. She's gonna be a problem in other things.
But like, I think my main issue is I really wish that from the top that Kingpin had been just the bad guy from the top. I think that would have.
He was the bad guy. He was the one pulling the strings.
I know that. I get that, but I wish that we had just established it at the start. That I think because you have this the fake out with her stepdad. Then you shift it over to the mom, but it doesn't last very long. And
it was never on the mom. The mom was never the villain until literally the 5th episode.
That's what I'm saying. You have that fake out, and then you shift to her, and it doesn't last very long. And then you go into Wilson Fisk.
It's because Kingpin's the villain. He's the one pulling the strings and everything.
I know that. For me watching it as a driving force for the plot of the show, I think it would have been better if we had just known that Kingpin was the guy from if not episode 1, episode 2.
When you see his hand, when are we introduced to Echo? Episode 1? The end of episode 1?
3? It's 3. It's episode 3.
She's at the end of episode 3?
Yeah, that's when you first see her. I'm sorry. At the end of episode 2.
Okay.
When
so Kingpin's shown in episode 3.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you see him touching her cheek, I guess, yeah, but I don't know. I think
I loved the bait and switch with the swordsman.
Oh no, I thought that was hilarious. Everything that happened in the finale was just awesome.
So him doing that, and you just being like, this dude, I don't trust this dude, and then at the end of it, you're like, man, I really hope he LARPs. That's great, and that's why I don't have a problem with that bait and switch, because it's just so great at the end of it where he's sword fighting the tracksuits.
Him just wind turning into this just being, I guess, kind of an earnest, just kind of goofy dude. Yeah, instead of this mustache twirling villain, I like that. I did like that.
He has a line at that last episode when he's talking to like his nephew.
Yeah, everyone remember like. Do you remember
Pete Your Pants in the Hamptons? I think is what
I do. Everyone does.
It's like, just, man, Catherine laughing to that is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. Just so no, I understand for you on that one, but my justification for that is that bait and switch which led to everything that he did in the last episode, I completely warranted for me.
I the part where Clint's up in the tree, I'm like, can he just climb down? Like, this doesn't seem like, do we have to cut it down? Do we?
What's gonna happen, guys, is we're gonna throw Daniel into a giant Christmas tree right in the middle of it, and then we're gonna say climb down. We're gonna see how long it takes him to get down.
But I don't know. And then you have the LARPers coming to help save the day, which, was a nice moment. But I thought it was odd that these, like, chaos is unfolding. There's bad guys running around, and these 3 LARPers stop, go inside, and take the time to change their costumes and come out back. I was like, how long that took you guys a while.
It was underneath the tuxes, man. Done. Went into the phone booth, got it taken care of. Because in the Marvel universe, people know who Superman is. I watched the Eternals.
That's right. They did mention that in the movie. But overall, I thought it was a good show. I liked that there wasn't really high stakes to it, which we don't get that a lot nowadays in the MCU. But I did like it. My favorite MCU show of the year was Loki, WandaVision, then this, and then I guess
Falcon Winter Soldier.
Falcon and Winter Soldier. That show was messier than it should have been, but I think a lot of that had to do with COVID. And then What If?
It also didn't come out when it was supposed to, did it? Was it supposed to come out before WandaVision?
Yeah, it was supposed to be the first one out of the chute. Okay. But see, again, COVID.
That's another thing, is I'm curious how all of this would have been if everything had been able to go the way it did. Like if we saw that in Black Widow on time.
Well, I think from Disney's perspective, they're glad WandaVision came out first, because that exploded in a way that Falcon and Winter Soldier just didn't.
I think WandaVision was very good, and I really enjoyed it, but I was very worried about that one with how mainstream audiences were, because I remember people talking about those first 2 episodes and be like, I don't get what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, they're making fun of like sitcoms, like just be along for the ride. There's going to be a payoff there eventually. But I don't know. I didn't necessarily like the way that WandaVision ended. And I think that's I like Loki. I didn't like the big, I enjoyed the Vision fight. I didn't necessarily care for Agatha and Wanda being like pew 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 pew. So
no, I agree with you on the way it ended. It felt, after a show that was very much about being weird and just doing stuff you hadn't seen in the MCU up to this point, it did slip into, oh well, seen this kind of fight before. That was disappointing, but it didn't overall take away from the show at any point. But again, like, Loki was my favorite, just because that they did so much in that show.
They really did.
From episode to episode, which I hated. I wanted more of Loki and Owen Wilson solving time crimes together. I could have done.
So what I'm hearing is that you wish that Marvel seasons were longer. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I wish there had just been one more episode at least of the time crimes. Like,
so what you're saying is you wish that Marvel series were longer.
I think you could give me what I wanted from that show without extending the episodes. I think you could have had one more time crimes episode.
That sounds like a longer season.
Okay.
Perhaps 13 episodes?
No.
Sorry, I've got to give him grief.
Yeah. But anyway, I really liked that. And we're getting a season 2 of that, which
that was one thing I didn't know. Like, I've only watched the finale one time, and I need to go back and watch it, but I was not expecting it to go the way it was.
Yeah.
When Kang came out, I was kind of like, really, like, this is how he's playing him. Like, this is the big bad type of thing. This is and this is how he's playing him, and then realizing, oh, this is a variant. This isn't the version that we're going to be getting going forward. And then I didn't know it was getting a second season either. So I'm very excited about that. I don't know. Just, I'm glad I have a Disney Plus subscription. I have a Disney Plus subscription for forever.
But yeah, what replaced Hawkeye is a little show called Star Wars: The Book of Boba Fett. A spinoff, basically. Well, okay, how do we characterize Book of Boba Fett? Is it a spinoff? Is it a sequel to Return of the Jedi? What do we call this?
It's not a spinoff. I mean, I guess it is. It's a spinoff of like Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
Because it's just a sequel to Star Wars. I mean, we've discussed this plenty of times. I'm much more interested now, and I think that they're realizing it as well, that as far as live action things, getting away from necessarily the Empire and the Jedi and giant space battles. There's a lot more interesting things that you can do and different stories to tell with the more underground, like crime elements of Star Wars. And Mandalorian was great. I genuinely think that they were not expecting the Mandalorian to be as successful as it is. I mean, it pretty much saved the franchise. Like, Star Wars isn't going to ever go anywhere. But if you talk to people after The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, people were very disenchanted with Star Wars, and now I don't hear that. At least in when I'm discussing Star Wars with friends, or just people are like, oh, I love the Mandalorian, and I think people are really excited about this. Boba Fett was never a character I really cared about. I'm excited to watch this. I love that Robert Rodriguez is involved with this. He's one of my favorite directors. I'm waiting for Danny Trejo to show up at some point in this. But I heard on one of the podcasts I listened to, they compared this first episode to the first season of Arrow, as far as like just a lot of flashbacks.
Well, that's kind of my main thing. Was I expected there to be flashbacks. I knew there was going to be them, but I didn't think it was going to be like 50-50. Like that for me, really kind of keeps the show from really kicking the tires off in this first episode, because it does not come out swinging the way Mandalorian did.
No.
There's nothing in this first episode that goes like, oh man, can you believe that?
So there's one thing in this episode where I was genuinely kind of confused, and I'm like, okay, where the hell did the stormtrooper come from? It's in the Sarlacc pit.
I just assumed that, back during A New Hope, while they were looking for the droids, the stormtrooper just fell in on accident.
And he just managed to so that kind of, I was like, okay. But I also really enjoyed how, I mean, you see in The Mandalorian, after you see him, you see that he's scarred up, and you just kind of assume that's from the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, no, he was literally baking in, the twin sons of Tatooine. Yeah. And I thought that was a nice little touch.
But actually, like, when the Jawas take off his helmet and stuff, he's already scarred at that point.
Yeah.
So,
but not like how he, was the first time that you see him on that. I saw a video of Patton Oswalt's filibuster.
Yes. From Parks and Rec, yes.
Yeah. Where it's above it, and then it's him describing him coming out of the Sarlacc pit. And I thought that was absolutely fantastic. I don't know.
Hand down from the twin sons of Tatooine, we are now close on the mouth of the Sarlacc pit. After a beat, the gloved Mandalorian armor gauntlet of Boba Fett grabs onto the sand outside the Sarlacc pit, and the feared bounty hunter pulls himself from the maw of the sand beast.
Okay, this is exactly...
And we realize that he survived his fall during the battle at Jabba's palace ship.
I don't know if that was intentional. I mean, we all knew it was coming. I'm glad that we got to see that. That was, in a lot of ways, I wish that's how he had been introduced in The Mandalorian, aside from it just being like, you know, back shot, him turn around and being like, oh, hey, look, it's Boba Fett. Like, I would have loved to have, you know, seen that. But I'm excited to see where this goes. It was interesting when, I cannot remember the actress's name, but she's from Flashdance, and the Twi'lek that he talks to.
Okay.
She's the lead actress in Flashdance.
Okay.
And so my girlfriend, Catherine, fiance now, I'm trying to break myself of that habit. Like, I keep referring to her as my girlfriend. It's like, she's my fiance now. So maybe I'll eventually break that. But she was like, oh, it's so-and-so from Flashdance. And I was like, she's the sheriff from Swamp Thing. Like, that's, and, you know, that's a show that I'm going to make you watch.
Oh.
So.
Okay. That only lasted one season, right?
It did. It did. That's one of the good, like, DCEU properties. Back when DC was trying to have its own streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
So bring that one back, please. But I mean, are you? And then the big battle at the end of the episode, all I could think about was Clash of the Titans.
Mm-hmm. I've seen that comparison. Yeah.
I mean, that was just. I was also like, what is it going from? Also, random thing. Rodian, I believe is. I might be losing some Star Wars credit because I can't remember the race. Are they always green? Like, was he red because he'd been baking for so long?
No, they're different colors.
Okay,
they're different colors.
I can't remember ever seeing a red one, and so I was curious if that was them being like, this is what happens to, you know, them when they're out too long in the sun.
No. I'm pretty sure it's established that there's different colors for Indians. So I was what really took me off guard about the show was that Boba's not like the ruthless guy that you would have assumed if you're just going off of the previous stuff that we've seen Boba in, like, you know, Empire Return, the Clone Wars cartoon,
the Mandalorian.
Mandalorian. He's nicer. Like, his first lines in the entire episode are after he's unbound himself or whatever. He turns to the Rhodey and says, "Do you want me to free you?" I was like, I would not have gone there.
I think it's also one of those things where he, you know, just had this near-death experience. I don't know if they're going to go this way with it, but it's, you know, he had this near-death experience. He saw, like, obviously for the Mandalorian, like, his goal is to get his armor back, like, at this point. But now with him as a character, he realizes it's slightly a broken system and maybe just doesn't want to continue down that path and, you know, slightly try to be the change. Also, you know, he's a protagonist now as opposed to an antagonist. So that's might be a reason for the character change on the show.
Well, it's gonna be interesting when they finally get to it and address it. Why does Boba want to be a crime lord? Like, he's been a bounty hunter for the last, you know, 20 odd years. He's getting old and wants that easy money. But I do appreciate that he's being portrayed as being out of his element. He's not really sure.
He got his ass kicked in this last episode.
Yeah.
Wrecked.
And he gets put back in the back tank, which, why do you think he has to go in the back tank? Is it from the injuries from the Sarlacc or injuries he suffers at the hands of? He's an old man who just got jumped by a gang, got his ass beat. He could be dying as well. Like, that could probably be a thing. So
he is a clone. I don't know if they're gonna. I mean, they showed Camino, so I don't know if that's gonna like play into it. He's never mentioned in any of the other movies, so I don't know if this is gonna be like, oh hey, Boba's like on his way out. He's realizing he's dying type of thing, or what they're gonna do. That's honestly one thing that I'm curious to see, like how far they go in these shows into the the timeline, because they said that they're not scrapping the sequel trilogy or anything. So I'm curious when I can't even remember the name of the antagonist group in the sequel trilogy. The New Order.
The first order.
First order.
Yeah.
Curious to see when that all starts
seeping in.
Yeah. But right now I'm loving where we're at in Star Wars. This is this right now is that unexplored part. We don't know what necessarily happened here. We haven't seen before. So it's exciting. I'm really curious to see what all happens on this.
I've seen some criticism of Disney going, really, your first 2 Star Wars shows are about characters who look exactly alike, two Mandalorian characters.
Yeah.
And I would like kind of defend it, because you don't want to do Boba Fett first, because like where you go?
Because they sell things, guys.
Yeah. But like I don't think you want to do Boba Fett first, because like again, this was a fan favorite character. People have wanted to see something like this for 40 years. If you trot it out first,
well, there was going to be a Boba Fett movie at one point.
Yeah.
And I mean, part of the reason that the Mandalorian looks like, or is a Mandalorian, is because we're just going to give him that Boba Fett rub. People like that, IG-11. It's like IG-88. It's just like we're going to have these, these things without just straight up calling it that. And again, like I said, I don't think that I think they knew they had something, but I don't think they thought it was going to take over like it did.
Yeah. But I think that's why you do the Mandalorian first, because it's not as well known. It's not a well known character. It's the first time you're seeing this guy. And so you can kind of gauge interest off that and then go out from there. Where if you do it with Boba Fett, there's weight to that. And if it doesn't kick off as well, that you have more to lose. You have less to lose by doing Mandalorian.
The other thing with that too is, like we were talking about how it's always, at least right now, they're doing established things and remakes and sequels. And yes, it was Star Wars, but it was this like fresh take. A spaghetti Western for the most part.
Yeah.
Like one and dones and we hadn't seen that before. And it was very nice and very refreshing. And I can't wait for season 3. And they started that. They did some world building, and now they're throwing into this other stuff. I mean, hell, like as much as I say I want them to get away from the Empire and Jedis, and who didn't lose their mind at the end of that second season? Like that was awesome. So, and we wouldn't have gotten that if it had started with the Boba Fett show, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think my only criticism is that, like, man, I really want that Kenobi show. I want that so bad. Like, give me the Kenobi show and then Boba Fett.
Here's the thing: is if the Mandalorian hadn't hit, we wouldn't be getting the stuff that we're getting now.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
So that's, so much of this stuff is a response to what hits and what doesn't. And as much as people want to say, oh, we had all of this planned, we had this, it's just like, no, you don't. You're throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. And thankfully we got this, and thankfully people enjoyed it, and I'm in for the ride.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember on Twitter recently, we asked, what is the movie you're most looking forward to in 2022?
Mm-hmm.
What's yours?
I want to say like I should look at a list of what everything's coming. But like Thor 4, Love and Thunder.
Okay.
I think that's kind of up there because Thor 3, Ragnarok, man, that was just a blast. Like after what we got with the first two, that was just complete 180.
Taika, we talked about actors earlier. Like, is there an actor that takes you will go to the movie theater to see them?
Yeah.
It's more directors for me, and Taika is one of those guys for me. I love watching things that he's involved in, and I mean Thor's up there for me. I feel like I'm kind of copping out saying that comic book film, just because I mean Thor's coming out, Doctor Strange is coming out. Like I'm very. It's not what I like my most anticipated, like the one I want to see the most, but I'm very curious to see how they handle Black Panther.
Yeah.
If we're talking about it, like I cannot wait to see that, man. But it's really weird for me to say a movie that's coming out in March is the one that I want to see the most.
Yeah.
If honestly, it's for me, it's probably Lightyear.
Okay.
So
the trailer did look really good.
That first trailer when they start, playing Bowie over it, and I mean, Toy Story came out when I was a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
I was Lightyear, big deal to me, and just seeing that trailer, and then I mentioned Chris Evans earlier doing the voice. I'm pumped. Pixar, again, just Disney. I just throw my money at them. Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar for life. I'll be there.
But yeah, Thor 4, just because Natalie Portman's coming back, and I really didn't expect Natalie Portman to come back.
Christian Bale?
After Thor 2. I didn't. Yeah, Christian Bale. But like we talked on our Thor episode, like, man, Natalie Portman, she's a great actress, but they just didn't do that character any justice, really. So her coming back to be Lady Thor, bring it on.
So, question: did you ever read like Jason Aaron's run? Have you read any like Thor comic books or anything?
I think at some point around the time that Thor 2 came out, I think I read like maybe one Thor graphic novel.
Okay. Because I have the feeling, well, I mean, I don't have the feeling. This is going to be very influenced by Jason Aaron's run.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get the chance beforehand, like if you're excited about this, and I highly recommend checking out Jason Aaron's run on Thor. I know that this is a movie podcast, but I'll throw comic books in every now and then.
Yeah.
But it's where the villain in this is from his run, as well as Jane Foster picking up Mjolnir and becoming Thor. So
also the Guardians of the Galaxy are going to be in it. Not sure for how much time, but I think that Taiki
are all of them going to be in it, or just Chris Pratt?
I don't know, but it's
Chris Pratt's going to be in everything eventually.
But I think the Taiki, say his name, Taika. What he brought with Thor, and the kind of chaotic energy you get from the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, I think those mesh really well.
Yeah.
So
him and James Gunn have done so much for the MCU. I mean, like, I love all of the serious stuff that we get, but as far as like rewatching, I know like we talked about Winter Soldier. I think that might be the best MCU movie, but if I'm rewatching stuff, it's going to be that first Guardians, and it's going to be Thor Ragnarok. Those are the two that I've seen the most. Like, I feel like I can put on anytime and enjoy.
Have you played the Guardians game yet?
Yes.
Okay, I started playing it last week.
Nice.
And I'm to the point where they're trying to get the Milano out of the docking bay.
It's a lot of fun. I kind of want to go back. I'm not very rarely. I have a console, but I don't game as much as you think that I would. But I played that. I beat it. I kind of want to go through and get a lot of the skins because I didn't pick up everything. It's just one of those things where I was just kind of playing through. I had an absolute blast with that game. I thought it was a perfect melding of MCU and the comic book versions. And it's a lot.
I'm not even sure if I'm halfway through or quarter of the way, whatever. I think it's arguably better than the movies. Like characterization wise, world design.
It's a lot of fun and like what they can do, and the the big bad in that as well that you eventually get to
Okay.
is where I feel like they're going to be taking us in Guardians 3. So, but I'm glad that you're enjoying it. I could not wait for that game. I paid full price for the special edition like tin box set that came in. So I'm a huge Guardians of the Galaxy fan. Like I Rocket and Groot, you know, back in the day, I legitimately almost had them tattooed on my body beforehand.
But no, yeah, I'm enjoying it. After like the brief experience I had with the Avengers video game, which was just not good.
Which blows my mind because it's the same studio, right?
Yeah.
Put it out. I
Yeah.
think that's one reason people were so surprised with it, and it's great, and I love the soundtrack.
Oh, oh yeah, it's as Ferris Bueller said, it is so choice.
Yeah,
Um,
you can. I mean, that's as much as you want to say like the game might be better than the movies. The music being part of like Peter Quill's backstory, that's from James Gunn. That's not
Yeah.
a comic book thing.
yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Like the
This
first
is
the level where you're flying the Milano through the quarantine zone
yeah,
to the what's it? Iran by the flamingo, the seagulls, right?
Flock of Seagulls.
Flock of seagulls. That was such a cool. It's a very easy level, and there's not much risk to it, but it was just so fun. Just like I ran so far. Like this, yeah, this is it. This is it. This is what I want.
And the game gets better. So that's going to be part of the things that we're going to be talking about in the next one is how far you've gotten in that game and if you're still enjoying it.
Yeah, but I think that's it. We're coming up on 2 hours now.
All right. So hey, we're probably going to split this apart. That's our new trick is we're just going to talk for 2 hours and then we're going to cut this down into so that we're not having to so we have some extra time to do that. He's probably going to cut this out so that you don't know our secret. but
yeah, our last episode we talked about Cowboys and Aliens and then Spider-Man and died No Time to Die and just cut it. So I probably might do the same thing for this.
Not a bad plan. I feel like 2 hours is a big ask for people a lot of the time. So
yeah, and so yeah, you don't want to go. Do you want to hear us talking about a 10-year-old movie, or do you want to hear us talking about the new
current
stuff? You can get both. Just
I mean, I know that this isn't going to be on there. This is me just talking to you now, but like I think that's actually a really good idea to do. Especially since this format is us just going off the cuff.
Yeah,
with a lot of time. But do you want me to do the sign off now?
Well, yeah. But as usual, I'm Daniel McFadden. This has been Aaron Korhorst. Aaron, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at abcohurst at sorry, I was about to say at gmail.com. That's not my email address. You don't need my email address. The email address that you need is catchingup2011 at gmail.com.
It's catch up podcast 2011 at gmail.com.
See, that's why he's here. It's because he knows these things. But the Twitter handle is at catching up 2011.
Yes.
That's why I got confused. All these at symbols, very confusing. But AB Cohurst on Twitter, give me a follow, write us a message.
Yeah.
Let us know what you're excited about is going into 2022. Are you excited about Thor Love and Thunder? Are you excited about Lightyear? Or are you excited about something else? Let us know.
We asked on Twitter what everyone was excited for this year. One person replied, Debbie Sana. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce her last name, but she said with the trailers up until now, probably the Batman, although I'm a bit wary. Then I'm curious to know what Jordan Peele's new film will be about. Oh, and Knives Out 2. Loved the first one. So did I.
Knives Out 2, I can't wait. I've seen the cast list. I can't wait to see that first trailer. Just that's I know we talked about Death on the Nile and how I really have like no interest to see that film. And
No.
that's the story of a detective doing all these different things. We had the Orient Express earlier, but I'd be very interested in seeing Daniel Craig just play that character from now on. You know how Robert Downey Jr. was saying he just wanted to play Sherlock Holmes and Iron Man for the rest of his life. Daniel Craig was Bond and Benoit. Like I think that'd be great.
I can't believe we're supposed to be getting Sherlock Holmes 3 at some point. It has been a decade since the last one, like, which is just wild to me.
I enjoyed the last one. I didn't. I didn't really care for the first one, but I liked the second one.
Oh yeah, Sean Harris was the villain. What's Moriarty? Yeah, I thought he was great. I believe Sherlock Holmes 2 is on the list for us, so we'll be getting to
I know where I was and who I watched that movie with, so
all right. But we'll get to it. But yeah, I'm Dale McFadden.
I'm Aaron Cohurst.
Eric Cohurst. This has been the latest episode of Catching Up with Aaron and Daniel. We can't wait to catch up with you next time.
Take care, guys. Happy New Year.
Bye.